Hello entrepreneurs, my name is Michael Mort. I'm a business attorney. I'm the founder of Argent Place Law, and I concentrate on helping entrepreneurs just like you build wealth through their companies. I started this video series called Argent Place Talk to interview and discuss issues that are important to entrepreneurs with business leaders who might give you insights that you haven't thought of. I'm pleased to have with me today Ron Imbach of RWI Solutions.
I do business coaching and consulting, training, and I'm also a public speaker working with nonprofits and also private sector companies.
We're going to be talking today specifically about the work he does in helping entrepreneurs in business development and especially for finding funding and alternative forms of funding. Ron has a background in marketing and in finance specifically related to these things. I think it's going to be an exciting time.
Great. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming. What are some of the areas that are stopping business owners from receiving funding?
I think I'm going to back up one more step and just go, it's a basic question even before that. Do you feel comfortable with either incurring a lot of debt through debt funding initially for your business, or would you prefer to have owners of your business and have equity funding? And that's a big question, because I've talked to businesses who said, oh no, I don't want anyone having an equity position in my business. This is my business.
Right.
I'd rather do it through debt. Then you have others who hate debt. I want to have a debt-free company. So that's a very, very basic question. And once you get through that question and you start thinking about, okay, do I want private funding? Do I want public funding? Now, you may be thinking public funding, that's not going to happen immediately. You're not going to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange, most likely, right away if you're a typical small business. But you may be looking at, this is a kind of idea down the road.
Right. You should plan ahead for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. People look at risk and reward like we all do. If we're parents, we almost make decisions on a daily basis regarding risk and reward. Will the reward of this justify the risk? Well, that's exactly what a lender's doing. So they're going to look at things for a business like, how long have you been in business? And of course, that's a little counterintuitive, because if you're brand new in business, that's usually when you need the money, most of all. However, for a lender or for an equity funder, that's when it's the riskiest time to lend you money. Because if they lend money and you go bankrupt, default, whatever, I'm not trying to be negative, but that's just a reality, then they lose their investment. Okay, so a new business, that's often the worst time, but that's when people need it the most. They're also going to look at things like, is it a good idea, is it a bad idea? Well, that sounds pretty basic, but there are a lot of businesses that will start off with an idea, they haven't market tested it, they haven't spent a lot of time kind of vetting it to a number of sources to find out, is this really a good idea? Is this a good market for this product or service that they have? So that's a very, very important thing. If you're a new business, they're going to look at, prior to going into business, what else did you do? Did you have success in other ways? What do you know about what you're going into business? If you're going to start your own law firm, what's a good idea to be an attorney, right? Or whatever the case may be. If you're going to start an IT firm, how long have you worked in IT? Have you had success in IT? Okay, so you're going to look at all kinds of things like that. There are also a very important thing is collateral, if you're looking for loans, or what I would also refer to as skin in the game. That's a very important thing. If you go to ask someone for money to fund your operations, but you haven't invested any money yourself in it, that's not going to give a lot of confidence to the folks that you're trying to get funds from. Another thing we look at if you're a new business is credit. Okay, they're still going to look at that the same way they would with a personal loan. They want to know, do you have good credit? Do you pay back your bills? So all those things are really, really important, and all those things are some of the reasons why, if you get those ready before you go to a funder, you've got, as I would like to say, ducks in a row. Don't overlook when it comes to funding. If you're really leaning towards equity funding, you probably know people. You may even have, quite frankly, you may not like the idea, but there are a lot of family members that actually could be interested. They may think, I've always thought you've had great ideas. I'd like to help you if I can. I'd like to be involved in this. They shouldn't give you their life savings. That's probably not a good idea financially. But, they might get involved. Also, just, I know I made an investment a few years back in a small startup from a guy who was in my fraternity. He contacted me along with a number of other folks in our business fraternity. I thought he had a great idea. I didn't put all my life savings into it, but I made a nice speculative, and I would still call it speculative, investment, but I don't think that's a bad idea because it has potentially a great reward.
I've noticed actually quite a few parent-child relationships coming to me for forming new businesses. It's a great way for people who have retired to pass on part of their wealth to the next generation and get something in return as well, not offering not only financial but some experience as a background. Yeah, so that brings up something else to mind. I know that investors are looking at the strength of the team. So, and is hiring a coach going to be an advantage for that, or do you work as a coach behind the scenes, or are you somehow a member of the board or an advisor? Tell us a little bit more about how you work to help the entrepreneur get the team that he needs to impress the funders.
Well, I think the most important thing about coaching for me, when I talk to potential clients about it, is you've got a third-party person who's not going to be, if you're the business owner, you can talk to your partners, you can talk to your brother, you can talk to your friend, you can talk to your neighbor, you can talk to your spouse, you can talk to your children. You may not get objective advice from any of those sources. So it's really, I think that's one of the more important things about a coach, is you've got a third person outside looking at your business, answering questions, quite frankly asking the business owner or owners a lot of questions about what they want to do. It also allows business owners, coaching, allows business owners to take a look at their business from basically 30,000 feet. I know another cliche, pardon me for that. But instead of just being down in the weeds, instead of not being able to see the forest for the trees, a business owner can help you look from a much broader lens at your business and do planning not just for the next few days or week, but plan for the next year, 2 years, 5 years. Because quite frankly, that old, again, cliche of failure to plan is planning to fail is accurate. You do have to do planning. Not all businesses do it the same, but that's a very, very important thing. And then coaching also helps small businesses when I talk to, especially a new business. Most businesses, someone has been a technician, and then they'll go into business because they think, I think I can do it better on my own. I know enough to do this without working for a company. They have big ideas and big goals, and that's great. That's what our country was founded on, the whole entrepreneurial concept. Having said that, most people come into business as a technician, as an expert on whatever their type of business is. Unfortunately, they're not an expert on marketing. They're not an expert in accounting. They're not a legal expert. They're not an HR expert. They're not an expert on leadership or planning exit strategies for the business. They're not an expert in all those areas. And if you have a well-rounded coach that knows a lot about, not saying they're an expert on all of those areas, but they know a fair amount about it, they've been involved in business for a while, I think experience is one of the key things for a successful business coach. I think that's very, very important. And they can help you through all of those initial issues that you have. So the word clarity, I think you mentioned that maybe even in your opening, or if you didn't, I'll mention it. I think clarity is really, really important to help businesses, again, not just be worried about, oh my goodness, I've got to get this order in tomorrow, I've got a problem employee, I've got to get the furnace fixed at our office, all those kinds of things. You lift yourself above that, get a little bit of clarity in like, what do I really want my business to do? What do I really want to achieve? And then I think a coach working with you through that process of slowly, step by step, developing the strategies, tactics, and basic action steps to achieve your goals is very, very, very important. Because, it's and being there with you through that journey, as I'll say, on that path, provides accountability. It's kind of like if you are a fitness coach or a wealth coach or anything else, any type of coach like that. If my clients know, okay, I'm going to see Ron in a week or two, I have these action steps I was supposed to do to get me closer to my goal, It's almost like you have an assignment in school. I've got to get this done before I talk to Ron in a few weeks. And even things like, and I definitely would defer to Michael in this way, how would I like to form my company given where I want it to go?
Right.
Okay. Do I want to start off the easiest way is starting off as an LLC, but that may not be the best for a lot of businesses starting off.
Right.
They may want to be a C corporation. Okay, that may be the way they like to form their legal entity. But there are going to be ongoing legal issues as you go with your business. And I think that's why having a professional like that, I think having a team that involves a great banker, I think you want to have a great CPA firm, because you definitely don't want, as a new business, issues with taxes and financial reporting and those kinds of things. Because that's another thing. We get back to what bankers, what funders look at. They're going to look at financial statements. And frankly, one of the things they're going to look at, do you have financial statements that have been audited? Have they at least had a review? Have they at least had a compilation, which are the three ways that an independent CPA firm evaluates and gives an opinion, so to speak, on financial statements. So if a potential investor, for instance, wants to know about a company and they look at the financials and it's like, oh, you just printed that from QuickBooks, how do they know it's true? How do they know it's accurate? There's been no independent verification. So that's all important as well.
Well, I know a lot of first-time entrepreneurs, they say, I have this great idea, I just need to go out and get some funding. It seems to me there should be some steps taken first, like vetting the idea, even just to the point where they bring on some experts in the field to say, what would happen if I did this, and get some feedback from that. It goes back to the team idea that we were talking about before.
Right.
And so I'm pretty sure that a coach could help them, guide them through these initial steps.
Of course, I agree with that. But yeah, a coach helps with that. And quite frankly, I even talk about relationships with a lot of folks as well. For instance, I think we both attend, a lot of chamber events and business association events and things like that. And if you attend those types of events, there are an awful lot of people who are willing to answer questions. I mean, we have a lot of, in the DC area here, in the DMV, we have a lot of small community banks, business banks, that are often a little bit more, they're maybe not quite as rigid on what they expect for a new business, for a loan. So get to know those folks, and quite frankly, they don't mind answering questions. Pose certain situations to them like, I've got this idea, here's some other information, whether it's my credit, my finances, my collateral, what I've put into the business, who I'm going to partner with, how I'd like to distribute it. And they can give you a lot of ideas about things that, quite frankly, you need to work into a business plan.
Now, I'd like you to just take a little bit of time to, I kind of broached a few of the funding mechanisms that I know about. A lot of startup companies are watching this series. Talk to them for a little bit about what might be the best thing. They can't approach every possible funding mechanism. They're probably not ready for VC funding yet. But give everybody some idea of what might be the earliest phase funding that they should think about.
Well, I think we'll kind of review what I just said about debt funding with a bank. That's a great source, obviously. However, larger banks, they can be some of the tougher sources and have some of the more rigid requirements. SBA is a place that a lot of folks don't always think of, and that's what they're there for. I mean, they even offer, I know in this area, in the Northern Virginia area, in Arlington, among other places, they offer classes for new businesses on a variety of different kinds of things, taught by SBA people. Again, SBA people who will probably some of the people that might approve a loan application.
Just so we know, a small SBA.
Small Business Administration.
Right.
Yeah, sorry about that. Federal government, and they've been doing that for years. So asking a lot of different questions like that, looking at, like I said, unusual places like family, friends, wealthy connections. Like I mentioned, a fraternity brother of mine contacted me about 3 or 4 years ago, and I invested in a company that he's going. So looking at a number of different things like that. I'm going to also mention a couple of other programs that actually I just spoke to someone maybe a month ago who works quite a bit with businesses. And they're not offered specifically through small business, they're government. And I might as well, before I even mention that, there are also, I mentioned Small Business Administration, I'm talking federal government, but there are also a lot of local and state programs and funding sources for small businesses as well,
Right.
especially if it's in an industry that they want to encourage.
For example,
Innovation, new
here in
products.
Virginia, we have the Center for Innovative Technologies, which is right up at Dallas
Absolutely.
Airport.
Great example, great example. But there are programs known as the SBIR.
Yeah, that's a federal government program as
Exactly.
well, where they sponsor innovative research. It stands for
Exactly.
Small Business Innovative Research.
Absolutely.
Right.
And then they have kind of a sister program called the STTR, which is the Small Business Technology Transfer.
Oh, yes.
And both of those programs are offered through several departments and agencies.
Right.
And essentially what they're trying to encourage is people who have a great idea that has great potential for commercialization. That's the word they use throughout their website. They like to fund those types of initiatives. Often they'll even try to partner a business with a university in the area or in another area that is working on the same kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if they think that you have enough potential, they provide a lot of funding. And the encouraging thing that I heard, that I was told, was that nearly every year, because a lot of folks are not aware of the programs, they actually have money left in their budget
Right.
that they have not, and they really want to encourage, which is why this person was speaking to me. She said, if you talk to a lot of small businesses, she said, make sure they know about this.
Right.
Because we want to give out money. So that's a good thing. That's a real positive thing. So now, they're like any type of government application. It's a little difficult, time
Right.
consuming. However, if you're going to get 1 million, 2 million, 5 million in funding, as I've told many people before, they'll say, well, that can be tough, or that'll take time. It's like, how much time does it take you to raise $2 million or
Right.
$5 million? Take the time to do it. Get together with someone who knows, which this person I spoke with does do that. She prepares a lot of those types of documents. Get together with someone who knows how to do it. You might pay 10 grand to have someone put the application together for you, but if it gives you $3 million, $5 million, that's a pretty good return on investment. I take that every day. So anyway.
Well, great, Ron. I think we ran out of time, but I appreciate you coming. Those are
Thank
great
you.
insights. A few notes here to just summarize. I think it's important to remember that you want to build a credible team of experts. And we're not talking about these have to be necessarily employees or even part owners. They could be, there will be a CPA on your team, there will be a banker on your team, there will be a lawyer, and there probably should be a coach on your team, and somebody to hold you accountable. Structure your approach to going after funding and lean on these experts to help guide you through the process, because you probably haven't had the experience that they have done. There are a number of programs. The first everybody thinks about is VC, venture capitalists, or angel investors, but of course there's debt funding, and there are other government programs. For example, look into grants from if you're in Virginia, look into the grants from the Center for Innovative Technology in Virginia. There's of course the SBA, a federal government program that helps people, entrepreneurs get started. But also there are specific government programs in which grants are given routinely. Sometimes not enough money is even spent. They're not able to spend their money. In particular, you want to consider the SBIR program, that stands for Small Business Innovative Research, and the STTR program, which is a technology transfer program. Thanks so much for joining us for Argent Place Talk. It's been a pleasure getting to know you.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful for all of your viewers out there.
Okay, and I'm pleased to say this is our first issue of Argent Place Talk, and we're looking forward to interacting with you more in the days to come.